let's get started. So question one, quality of life and recreation. So it's a topic close to home for many Trussville families. This question first for you, Ms. Bright. Trussville has made big investments in gymnastics, turf for sports fields, but many residents have asked for improved recreation, especially playground equipment, new swimming facility, the type of recreation that doesn't necessarily, quote unquote, make the city money, that kind of thing. But it does add value to the city. Numerous residents have taken their kids to pools and parks in other municipalities around us as alternatives. Even a new space for active theater, which we all love so much, I think it's outgrown its space because they're doing so well. What specific improvements or initiatives would you support and are attainable to enhance recreational and artistic opportunities for all age groups in Trussville?
Now that's a question.
I got a lot of content.
There's a lot of content, and I would, if I could wave my magic wand, I would do them all because
Sure.
I love the arts. I think that the city's responsibility is to provide, especially Parks and Rec, to our families, our senior citizens. We have a senior center that I noticed that was not in the question either, but those are provisions that we do make when it comes to Parks and Rec, the gymnastics facility, a swimming pool, even though it is older. Active theater, those are all wonderful things. Things that I would love to add to it would be a fine arts center. Of course, we know, I'm sure we're going to get into finances here in a little bit, so that's not going to happen anytime soon unless things majorly can change. But they're definitely on a radar. Anything that promotes our families, what drives our families here are our school system. And they want to be here with the school system, but they need everything else as well. So we have to provide everything from safety to activities. We've taken on some big projects as far as returfing, which was definitely needed for our baseball and softball and soccer fields. That was a big undertaking, but in the long run, you wind up saving money by doing it that way, but not having to have so much maintenance and repair. Swimming pool, big topic. Would love to be able to provide that too. Have a place in my mind where I'd like to put it. But that will have to definitely be put on a capital outlay plan that I would love to be, that I plan to have on as far as how we can get this in whatever that looks like, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. May not happen in my time of service, but I think if you have it in some sort of a plan, like it's in the 2040 plan, then you'll be able to know how to budget for those type of things. So yes, I want all of them. I love active theater. I think they've outgrown their space, but I don't. It's such a quaint place to go to theater. We could maybe expand it just a little bit, but where it's nestled, I think it's really, it's a cool place. I know they have to share space with the historical committee.
It gets hard sometimes.
It gets hard during show
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But I hope we can work that out. There's a great need for both places.
Sure.
They both serve people in the community. So I think the city overall, over the past 20 years, has done a good job in providing those type services. We can provide more, yes, but those things have a price tag, and we've got to be able to make sure we can afford them, that they don't have to make money, but they don't need to be losing money, and that's the fine line that you really have to work on moving forward.
Okay. Ben, any specific initiatives or anything like that?
Yeah, I kind of echo some of what Lisa said. She covered that relatively well, an extensive answer. But I too would like to wave my magic wand and have a swimming pool. I think that there's an importance to that. And, same with the splash pad. My children are going to Moody to take advantage of the splash pad there. I think there's potential grant opportunities on the splash pad side. But when you look at aquatic centers and pools, for example, our current pool operates at a loss of around $40,000 to $50,000 a year. So when you look at the empirical data and the research associated with aquatic centers and pools, the operation cost never can be made back up. So we have to be in a financial position where we are okay losing that money for the benefit. And due to the constraints that we find ourselves in now, especially when we're given a quarter of everything that we bring in to the school system, which I think is more important than an aquatic center at this point in time. Again, in the future, I think there would be an advantage to having that. I, too, am a big fan of the arts. I believe we do need a cultural arts center. I think my initiative, this is where Councilor Bright and I differ slightly. I think ACTA in a new facility makes the most sense because then we can allow the History Museum to kind of expand within that facility and then turn that into an event space where we can actually rent it out and generate revenue off of it. So I think Heritage Hall would make an excellent meeting space that the city could potentially generate revenue from. Back to Parks and Recreation in terms of the turf project and the fields, we definitely needed that. But when we created one of the finest facilities and updated and now have one of the finest facilities in the state, we created a problem with parking. And so now we have to address that issue, right? So in my mind, the solution would be, and again, I would obviously involve Parks and Recreation and get additional input from parents that are on the soccer, football, and all of those things. But the solution to that, in my opinion, is to take the practice field currently behind the pickleball facility, convert that to a parking lot, and then take one of the soccer fields and convert that to a parking lot. But taking 2 fields away, we need to add 4 more multi-purpose fields. And I think we have some city-owned land that we can do that on. Now the question becomes, do we turf them or do we grass them? And there's obviously 50-50 depending on who you talk to and you look at operational cost over 10 years. But I do envision fixing the parking issue in the park as part of that solution. Again, I would love to have a swimming pool, but I just don't think it's in the cards, especially in this initial term, because we don't have the money for it. So.
Gotcha. JT, how about you? Just specific initiatives, improvements, or additions that could enhance the quality of life, recreation?
I'm a huge proponent of recreation and sports and kids and the arts as well. I played a variety of sports growing up. I was fortunate enough to be able to play Division I sports and coach those sports later on as other sports. And it just brings just an added benefit of confidence to someone young growing up, whether they participate in the arts or in sports. It just gives them an edge. I was dealing with the conversation with Admiral Natter, who grew up here in the Cobble Project. He rose, he and his brother both, to the rank of Admiral. We're working on a child here in Trussville getting into the Naval Academy. And he was talking about the importance of sports. He said, we look real careful, the criteria of how well someone does in a team work framework. How will that they succeed? Individual sports are wonderful and great, but how someone succeeds in a team, whether it be acting, whether it be in sports, is vitally important for this person's success, their communication skills, their ability to get along with other people. I served on the YMCA board for some time. I was over facilities on that committee, and a driver of the budget was definitively pools. There's always a great expense there, but it draws. And I think an aquatic center should be on our radar when we are able to stabilize our financial issues and look for even grant money or whatever money we can find, because I think that will be a driver of the principle of keeping families in Trussville, along with the splash pad that both the esteemed candidates have discussed. That's important. And I think any investment in parks and recreation is an investment in our kids' future and our future as well for this city, because it draws teamwork, it draws tournament families come in, spend money, stay here. I think that's great for the city. Investment.
Sounds good. Anybody have any follow-up on that one?
I do. One thing I really kind of forgot about, we have a grant out right now, speaking of grants, for a fantastic update to our park behind the library. It's through ADECA. We do not know yet if we've received it. It'll be an all-inclusive park, playground area for people with handicapped children, which would be wonderful for our families to be able to have that here, that have children that maybe can't do some of the things at the park that we currently have. Our park that we have now is 20 years old, and it's time for an update. David Vinson, our Parks and Rec department head, actually wrote the grant and did a great job. We hope we get it. It'll be a huge asset to that little cluster right there. You've got everything right there with the splash pad, the pool, the park, the library, ACTA. I mean, it's just hubbed right there. So we hope that we do, and that'll be a great investment for our city moving forward for the next 20 years.
And I will tag on. I think David has done a wonderful job. His staff has done a wonderful job of identifying grants. But I also think, and I hope we get this, I think it would be a game changer for our city. But I think moving forward, we also have to be intentional about where we locate new parks moving forward, because we have neglected parts of our community in terms of where we have our parks. So I think it's important for us to kind of expand where we're looking at from a facility standpoint.
Yeah, are there any parks across the
No,
tracks on the
there's
South
not.
Chalkville
There's not,
side?
yeah.
I grew up on that
Land,
side.
land is obviously part of the question, and when you look at where you want to locate parks, you obviously want it near some city infrastructure to protect it, and so that's been part of the complications there. But I think there are some places on that side that would be good for pocket parks.
Okay.